the odds of a trade working on an intraday chart, because support and resistance on an intraday basis is not nearly as important as support and resistance on a daily chart. Many, many more people looking at daily charts. So I threw the daily support area onto the intraday and then used the intraday time frame to initiate the trade. This would have been a great risk reward, by the way. I don't see any resistance at all until those highs. Once again, it doesn't mean you stay fully long. Nothing wrong with taking profits. Okay, the question is, isn't the intraday a magnification of the daily? And the answer is no. Intraday, you may get different signals. And I'm going to show you an example of this in a couple of minutes. Yes?
I noticed you used your target based on the intraday chart.
Okay, good point. If whatever time frame you're looking at to initiate the trade, in other words, whatever chart you're looking at, that should be the chart you're using to get your target. Okay? So if you're pulling the trigger, see what we're doing is using the daily chart to get support, but we're actually pulling the trigger, initiating the trade based on an intraday candlestick signal. You should be setting your target based on that intraday chart. Yes?
When you're looking at the daily chart, what time frame are you using for the daily chart? A month? 6 months?
Okay, the question is, what time frame am I looking for the daily chart? My default is normally 2 or 3 months, but I will go back as far as necessary to find the first support area. But my normal daily chart is 2 or 3 months. 3 months usually. Okay, because that usually gives us enough time or enough data to find lots of support and resistance, and also the candlestick signals are easy to read. Okay, here we have a very obvious support zone on the daily chart, okay, shown by the 2 red lines. Now, yes, it closes a hammer, but we're an intraday trader. We don't look at a hammer on an intraday chart. What we're going to do is we're going to throw what date is this? On June 5th. Okay. We're going to throw this red horizontal support line onto our intraday chart on June 5th. And that's the support zone from the daily chart. And on June 5th, this is a 30-minute chart. See what we got? A morning star. What would be my target? It would be based on the intraday chart. I'm not using my target based on the high back here at 123. That's not my first target. My target, because I did the trade on the intraday, is the intraday target. Okay? And that could be a potential target. And that looks like an okay risk reward. You know, we have to make sure, but we have to actually measure. But it looks like more than 2 to 1. Okay, support and resistance from the daily chart. We have old support becoming resistance, those blue lines. And what I've done is we've thrown that resistance area onto the intraday chart. So this resistance looks like around 126.60 in that area, 126.80. Okay, so I threw that onto the intraday. And that resistance zone is just based on the daily, and look at the signals we had on the intraday. Now, in spite of these signals, the first semicircle is a bearish engulfing pattern. The second semicircle is what? An evening star. It's also a bearish engulfing pattern, right? Too. But would we sell short on that? Think about the risk reward. We're getting lots of bearish candlestick signals at an important resistance. Important because it's a daily chart. But think about this. If you're selling on that evening star, aren't we selling at support? Right? So I'd wait for a break of the support area. But the point is you had a group of candlestick signals on the intraday chart confirming a support area, a resistance area on the daily chart. It's a really useful, quick question. I'm sorry, what's that? No, I wouldn't. The question is, would I buy in that long black candle? I'd sell on a close under the bottom end of that trading range, on that probably on the long black candle. I would, right. As soon as it broke under that support area, I wouldn't even have to wait for the close. Okay, and these are some potential targets. Once again, because we're using an intraday chart to initiate the trade, we're using the intraday chart to get our targets. These are just prior support areas, essentially. If you trade intraday, you always have to monitor the daily charts. What I would suggest, how many use 2 screens, 2 or 3 screens here? Okay, who doesn't? Okay, you have to have 2 or 3 screens. You have to have different time frames. At a minimum, you have to have a daily chart, and let me show you why, even if you trade intraday. Here we have the change of polarity, old resistance becoming support, and notice how the market stalled at that red line there. The reason the market stalled there, this is an intraday chart, is because the market had very important resistance. Okay, this is 129.70. This is June 5th. Okay. This is June 5th on the daily chart. And obviously during the session intraday, we don't know what's going to form a shooting star at the end of the day. But why do you think the market stalled there during the day on June 5th? Look at the resistance, a bearish engulfing pattern. Even if there wasn't a bearish engulfing pattern, that's an important resistance area. We always have to be alerted to where support and resistance is on the daily chart. Now, this is for swing traders, for those who normally don't use intraday charts. You can use intraday candlestick charts to really improve your timing. Quick question, yes?
What time frames do you consider intraday on this daily intraday mix?
Well, I'm sorry, what was the question?
What time frame do you like to look at?
Oh, for intraday, I look at the charts at the end of the day, so I'll look at 30, 60 minutes daily charts, sometimes a 15-minute. But if you have access, if you're looking at intraday charts, if you're an intraday trader, it all depends on your holding period. Okay, if you're in the trade for a couple of hours, I would use a 15-minute, maybe a 30-minute, 5-minute maybe. But I would not suggest using 5 or 15-minute candlestick signals or even 30-minute candlestick signals in and of themselves to buy or sell unless it confirms an important support area. And that, to me, is on the daily chart. Okay. So for swing traders, how do we improve trading or timing with an intraday? Okay, we saw this before, this slide before. I just kind of blew it up. Okay, the red arrow points to a hammer. Okay, when did we get the hammer's confirmation? Remember, for a candlestick signal, we need the open, high, low, and close, right? So for those who use a daily chart, you have to wait for the close of a daily chart. But there's nothing to say that you can't use the close of an intraday chart. So this would not give us a good risk reward because our entry point is here on the close or the next day's opening. So this would not be a good risk reward. Okay. So this price area here is right around 174 on the close. April 3rd, I'm making a magnifying glass, zooming in. This is April 3rd. This is a 60-minute chart. Okay. What's happening on the 60-minute chart? Some long